Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my channel, and here are the results for WCPW Loaded, the penultimate episode. This episode was very strong, the matches were pay-per-view quality, and let's just get into the results. The show starts off with Marty Scurll opening up with a promo. He's interrupted by Joe Hendry, who demands a title shot, and Stu Bennett, the general manager, comes out, and instead of giving a title shot to Joe Hendry, he gives the shot to Travis Banks. It's a great decision on his part, in my opinion. Travis Banks is a great wrestler. He's phenomenal. He very much impressed me earlier this year in his match against Ricochet on Loaded, which is when I really started to get into him. So it was a great decision on his part, but it was not very well received by Joe Hendry. The opening match for the show was Gabriel Kidd versus Bad Bones. Gabriel Kidd was working a rib injury throughout the match, and Bad Bones was working a low-key back injury. And it was a nice story that they had, that Bad Bones was injured, but he didn't want to give it away. He didn't want to expose his injury, but it was very obvious that Gabriel Kidd himself was injured. The match ended when Gabriel Kidd was shoulder tackled by Bad Bones. He couldn't even stand at first. Bad Bones went to the outside of the ring to grab a bat. He came back in. Gabriel Kidd made it back to his feet. Bad Bones swung the bat. Gabriel Kidd ducked it, and he kicked Bad Bones in the face and won the match. It was a great opening match. And moving on to the next match, the tag title match between War Machine and Primate and Jimmy Havoc. When War Machine were making their way to the ring, Hanson actually had the WCPW Hardcore Championship, which is Primate's championship, because Primate actually left the championship at ringside at Refuse to Lose, and in the words of Dave Bradshaw, they seized it. War Machine seized the belt and held on to it. This was a very good hardcore style match. Jimmy effing Havoc rules, as Jimmy Havoc put it. And in the end, it was actually a surprise when, in my opinion, as Hanson was not handcuffed, actually, it was duct taped instead. That spot oftentimes involves handcuffs, but instead he was duct taped to the ring side barricade, and Rowe was left to fend for himself. He tried to superplex Jimmy Havoc off the top rope through two chairs. He was actually powerbombed by Primate through those chairs. Jimmy Havoc hit him with a double foot stomp from the top rope, and they won the match in a finish that surprised me. I thought it was going to be a simple, good match, but War Machine come out on top. I was very sure War Machine would win, but they didn't. I'm not sure where they go from here, but it would be interesting to see. After this match, a mysterious vignette is played. It appears to be a religious gimmick, as there were crosses in the vignette, and the vignette ended with a quote from the Bible, I believe. I don't completely remember it, but if you watch the vignette, you'll know what I'm talking about. Then we have Little Miss Roxy versus Ava story. It was basically playing off of a story that came out of Refuse to Lose, where Ava Story and Jay Lethal fought Little Miss Roxy and Drake. Little Miss Roxy and Drake lost that match. Jay Lethal pinned Drake for the win. But Ava and Little Miss Roxy went at it again in this match, and Ava Story looked like a stupid face in this match, a stupid baby face, as she lost the match because Drake came out, distracted her. She was just, up in Drake's face. Eventually Jay Lethal came out, fought Drake up the ramp away from the ring. Ava Story was still distracted for no reason looking at Drake, and she ended up losing. Because of that, as she turned around and was kicked in the face by Little Miss Roxy, I believe she hit her with a backstabber after that or something and won the match, and it made her look really dumb. After this match, Mike Bailey and Veda Scott took on David Starr and Kaylee Ray in a very good match as well. There was a nice spot where both of the men had the women on their shoulders, so Mike Bailey had Kaylee Ray on his shoulders, David Starr had Veda Scott on his shoulders, and they both decided to put the women down on their feet. As soon as they did that, they both got kicked by the individual women, and they both hit Canadian destroyers on the men at the same time. The timing was perfect, and eventually the referee was kicked in the face, I believe, when Kaylee Ray was going for a move, sort of like a gory bomb position, and Veda Scott was able to manage a roll-up. She didn't get the roll-up at first. She went for a schoolboy. It didn't pan out. Kaylee Ray approached her on the ground, and she got rolled up in a small package, and Veda Scott won the match for her and Mike Bailey. After that, we saw a segment where Travis Banks was backstage. The Prestige were being supportive of him. They were saying, win the match for yourself. Joe Hendry said, no matter what happens, we're going to be here for you. The main event occurs, Marty Scurll versus Travis Banks for the WCPW World Championship. It was a decent match. It was not the best match on the show. I think that maybe the Tag Team Championship match, that might have been the best match on the entire card, but this match was still a decent match. It was a good main event. Nothing too big, too special happened. I was expecting the Prestige to come out at least at the end of the match and attack Travis Banks to turn on him. I think they might have saw that would be too predictable, but Marty Scurll won the match, retained the championship. He reached out his hand to fist bump Travis Banks, and Travis Banks accepted it. Looks like he's turning face. And he went backstage, and I guess the point they were trying to make was that Joe Hendry had said no matter what happened, him and the Prestige would be there for Travis Banks, but Travis Banks goes backstage, and no one's there. It's just him by himself. He sits down, puts his head in his hands, and that's just how the show ends. He's left to sit there and sulk. And it was a very good show. It was a nice ending as well. That was just a nice ending. Like I said, I think they thought it would be too predictable to have the Prestige come out and just attack him or do something like a big face turn for Travis Banks, at least at this point, because I was expecting that, and I think that I wasn't the only one. But it was a very good show, like I said. If you saw the show, tell me what you think about it in the comments. Like and subscribe. I will see you in the next video.